So today, the first movie we're doing is Die Hard, and I know John hasn't seen Die Hard before, so I was really interested in his first take of the movie.
So yeah, as Vivek said, hadn't actually seen it. Also, what's up, guys? This movie, like, I I don't know what I went into it expecting. Like every time I go to watch a movie, I always have like a set of expectations based off of just being familiar with movies. Like a lot of movies I hadn't seen before, I more or less know what it is because I'm just ingrained in the culture of movies and pop culture. For this, I really didn't know. I knew it was an action movie around Christmas time. And that's kind of all people bill this movie to be, at least when describing it. But I didn't know how competent and well made this movie would be. I think Die Hard succeeds in like every way that I could have wanted a movie like this to succeed. It worked. The villain was compelling. The main hero I found to be very interesting. He wasn't just like vanilla action hero. He like had a bit of like an edge to him, and even his quips and stuff didn't feel cheesy. Like the thing I hate like a lot of movies do is like before the bad guy or the good guy does something cool, he's like has to say something like, "Yeah, shouldn't have done that," or some bullshit. I felt as if this is one time where it actually always worked for me. I was like, "Yeah, he's cool." And I just thought it was a cool movie, dude. Cool all the way. That's the way I describe it. Pleasantly surprised throughout the movie. There were some elements of it that I'm sure we're gonna get into that I'll save, but first impression of the movie, very positive.
Very positive. Yeah, like when you describe Die Hard to somebody, you like people just think of it as like just a generic action movie. But surprisingly, while for like an '80s movie, it's actually pretty good. Like the Rotten Tomato score is like 93% or something, which when you look at other '80s movies that came around this time, is all like very low because all of these '80s movies kind of just fall into the same,
They're
you know.
really like cheesy one liner
Yeah,
cliche kind of thing.
Oh
And
my
yeah,
god, yes.
the one thing about it is this movie is it's not over the top, and it's not even fast paced at all. It's actually just medium paced, like
I would
very
say it's slow
consistently.
paced, actually. I would
Yeah,
say
I
it's
almost would
rather
did.
slow.
Yeah, it is, but it's like, and it's consistent at it too. But overall, it's not too crazy in general.
which
No,
is
no. I
yeah,
which was also I would say it was crazy in I guess in how explicit the violence and graphic the violence was. I didn't expect that going into this movie actually.
As
I
getting blown
expected a
up.
lot of like a lot of movies do this thing where like when a character gets shot they kind of just flail around, but like there isn't much of it. You just see kind of like some muzzle flash and then flailing and then they die. There was a lot of like seeing bullet holes pop into people's legs and like a lot of shots where people were getting hit, but you can
yeah,
see that it was affecting them in a way that was very gruesome. So it made the violence in general and the stakes to me feel heightened because at any point I knew that someone could die. If they were gonna die, it was gonna be gruesome. And John McClane, he really takes some wear and tear, and you feel it. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, here's a good example, like Transformers, right? Where Shia LaBeouf is being tossed around, and I know it's kind of topical to bring him up now,
yeah,
but he's being like tossed around and like being caught in robotic hands and dropped from buildings on top of cars, and he kind of gets up and is like,
Yeah.
ugh,
He's
ugh,"
defying
and then
physics.
runs. And he's fine, yeah, and he just
yeah. It's
runs
fine.
about like for the rest of the movie as if nothing happened. You see
Yeah,
John McClane really get like beat up, and like the part with like the glass and his feet. I'm like,
That was
damn, like this is
yeah,
clever.
yeah. There's glass on his feet. He's bloody on his feet. There's blood everywhere. His shirt's being ripped up. Like when you said Transformers, yeah, Shia LaBeouf in the movie, they just like toss some dirt on him and then like a little blood stain, and
Hmm.
that's pretty much it. The
yeah.
entire
Yeah, there's a lot
movie.
of dirt on him.
Yeah, but like John McClane movie, he like his shirt's getting torn up. You see him sweating. He's getting tired. Like he's not fighting as effectively anymore. And then you could definitely see like he's just like tired of it by the end of the movie. Like he's just broken.
What are those things called when you shoot somebody and they like those packets explode out of them?
A squib.
Yeah, the squibs. Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. When that guy's knees was getting squibbed up,
Yes, dude. I
he
was like,
literally
oh my
just
god.
destroyed his kneecaps.
I was shocked to see that, like, genuinely shocked, because it's so easy, especially because we also have to consider the time that this movie came out. I don't know the exact year,
It was like
80
82, 83.
no, here it is, 88.
Oh,
So,
well,
late 80s, it's still very shocking to see action effects look that good. Obviously, they were using a lot more practical effects then.
Mhm.
So it's kind of gonna look good. Sometimes it might look a little cheesy or overdone. I felt as if this was like perfectly realistic, and even comparing it to modern day graphic violence, where a lot of like the blood splatter can sometimes just be CGI effects just to save time. Like this worked, and obviously I'm not a big, or Vivek knows me and Vishesh knows me well. I'm not a big blood and gore guy. So whenever I see it in a movie, to me it has to be done tastefully or used in a way that enhances the film in some sort of form creatively or story wise. I felt as if this is one where you needed that extra level of oomph to really sell the action. And it worked very well.
yeah, I agree. Like the movie is very like grounded. Like it just John McClane is just your average guy, so showing like those actual blood effects and showing him getting tired and stuff like that, it shows like yeah, he's just a normal guy. He's just a cop that
Yeah.
just flew in trying to get his wife back, and then has to deal with this problem. He just like when I was looking at John McClane's entire movie, he just looked so annoyed. Like he just looked annoyed with everybody.
Well, he hates California for some reason. That was like his main character trait at the beginning of the movie, which
Yeah.
at first I was just kind of like, is that like just kind of his thing? He's just kind of grumpy. But it eventually like worked for me. Like he feels out of place. He doesn't really want to be there. His goal is from what I picked up, I could be wrong. It was just to meet up with his wife. That was
Yeah,
it. Like
For Christmas, right?
yeah, he's just flying
Yeah.
back for
It's for
Christmas.
Christmas. And to see his kids, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, just like meet his wife because that's time. Like, I guess him and his wife are like having problems and like they're estranged, basically.
Yeah, well,
I was
his
a little confused about that. I actually, it was one of those moments where I had to I do this often when I'm watching a movie and I don't quite get the setup. I just go on Wikipedia real quick, just read whatever the plot synopsis is. I really didn't understand what was happening. I didn't know if he was invited to the, what is it, Nagak, I don't know the name.
I don't know.
Na-
It's hard, a hard Japanese name to say.
Tanami, Nakam, whatever it was. That tower or plaza or whatever. When he was invited there, I didn't know whether or not he was invited there as like celebration for his wife's accomplishment. I didn't know if this was the opening of the towers because the building wasn't done, so I was just like kind of confused on what he was there for. He didn't have any She didn't even know where he was staying or anything. And when the daughter talks on the phone at the very beginning, she says something like, "Oh, is daddy going to be here?" And she almost seems uncertain. So then I'm just kind of confused because he also gets picked up at the airport. So the reason I'm bringing this up, because like I didn't understand him showing up there, if it was a planned thing or a spontaneous event. Either way, uh it worked at the end with him being annoyed, but it almost was a little muddled as to his whole purpose at that tower.
Yeah, that's actually true. When I first watched the movie and he gets to the airport and there's a guy waiting for him, the limousine driver, and he has a sign for him. It's like, how did he know he was coming? Like, did you find anything on Wikipedia?
asking that guy was asking way too many
No,
questions
it
too.
just says that he came to meet with his estranged wife. But then it's just like, well, she didn't seem to know he was coming, but some people did, and some people didn't. It just, maybe it's a first watch, so I perhaps didn't really catch on to what it was. And I do appreciate this movie for not being overly expository. Like it wasn't doing too much to try to highlight every little detail as to why and where and who. Early into the movie, it kind of just let you breathe and exist in this world.
Yeah.
But for that part, I was just one of the few complaints. I was just kind of like, what's going on?
They did that a little bit with the dynamic between him and the cop on the ground. What was his name?
Al.
Al.
Which
Al.
Whatever. Family
Yeah.
Matters guy.
Yeah, I just
family
call him Carl. Yeah, I
literally.
just know him as
Yeah.
Carl from Family
Yeah,
Guy.
Carl. They did
That's
that through whatever. It's funny that they even gave him an arc in the movie, a
Okay.
very little arc, and they
Oh yeah,
actually
I
they
was so
actually
proud.
decided to they actually concluded his little arc at the end of the movie for whatever reason.
which was to me, it was both a positive and like a kind of what the fuck type of
It was
moment.
positive, but very. It was just it was kind of cheesy in a way to have that at the end, but it
Because
was
who was the
whatever.
guy that he killed? Was it the guy that
It was the
he
guy that
had
he
like?
hung up in the chains. He
So
didn't
I,
how the
die.
y-
hell did he get down
yeah,
and
so
out the building?
so this is that was the point I wanted to bring up in the movie too. Like it was in my notes of I'm confused on how that happened because he hung this guy up, and then so this guy just pretended to be hung up the whole time until the cops came to get him down. But I feel like you would just die.
He would, or he would have been dead.
There
Yeah.
was
Like the
a
people walked by his body. There's specifically a shot where they're running down the stairs before the building blows up or whatever, and they walk and like some people look up, they're like, "Oh my god, there's a body," and like they just continue walking, and it's just like, well, um, how? Was he looked pretty dead, like, unless there I guess the explanation, which it doesn't make sense, but the building blew up, it somehow broke the chain, he escaped from this burning building bruised, made it all the way downstairs, all these flights of stairs while in this condition, found a gun, and then
also
waited for this boogeyman moment.
he was like kind of clean. He wasn't really like that bloody. And then I noticed at the end when he made it down the stairs, he was just covered in a bucket of blood, and I
It
was
was
really
Yeah.
put off by it.
And then the fact that he had a gun too, it's like the cop brought him down and didn't check that he had a gun on him.
like, exactly.
That's
So
That makes
clearly a
sense.
bad guy. You're
It
supposed to
was
check
it
pulse
was an
too.
interesting attempt to complete the arc, like Vicious brought up. Like it was cool that they like took this little arc and was like, let's just complete this too. But it was just kind of little okay. Like I see why you felt the need to, but at the same time you didn't need
Mm.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say the movie only has the only strong character in the movie is John and some of the villains, and really only the main villain and I guess Carl. But I was wondering how you guys felt about the having the news reporter kind of side story. Like, what is even the point of that?
Oh my god. Okay.
What's the
Like I
inclusion?
don't know if you want to go first with this actually.
Yeah, I didn't like the news reporter. I didn't like any other like outside party in the movie, like the detective, the FBI agents, the reporter. I all hated their
Their
characters.
intelligence was too low to make sense.
Johnson
Yeah.
and Johnson.
Yeah, I feel like it must have been just like we make all these people just dumb, and then just use them as like the people that you hate, but also like comic relief because the Johnson and Johnson thing, no relations, was just like it's funny. It's like why put that in there? And then there was a point where one of the FBI agents answered the phone, and then he was like, "It's me," and then he was like, "No, the other one." So I'm like, "What did you ask? Did you ask? Is it the black one?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is a weird throwaway joke.
yeah,
Because it not that it didn't need to be in it once again, because I don't want to be like everything that I don't like doesn't need to be in the movie. But it was just like, well, what's the point of this really weird like because it's not even that I laughed. I more so like did like the when something's just kind of like what you like might blow the air out of you and I was like,
yeah.
what's this?
It was
What's going on here?
pretty much all those characters was just they were just there to make John's job a little bit harder than it needed to be for
Oh my
whatever
god.
reason. And the news reporter, if he didn't go to their house, I'm pretty sure the outcome still would have been the same. He would have still killed the bad guy. He didn't need to even take his wife hostage. It didn't serve much of a purpose, to be honest.
It I would say it worked for the movie's obviously coming to a conclusion because it can't last forever. They got the money, blah 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 blah. So I think it worked to just for the very end, just to give you one last moment to be on the edge of your seat. Um, I didn't have much of an issue with it happening story wise, like, hey, like the guy finds out that they're related because they're kind of been hinting at that throughout the movie that like he's gonna find out. Like there's the moment with Ellis, who I
Oh
wanted to talk
yeah,
about that character.
yeah, I
Oh
did
yeah.
Fuck
too.
that
Yeah.
guy. There's a moment with Ellis and he's like, "Oh, me and John, we go way back. I'm the one who invited him here." Like, and he's clearly trying to avoid bringing up the connection between them. So I knew it had to happen, but I did hate the newspaper guy or the news reporter guy because on an ethical level, who does that? Who finds the house of someone who's clearly in a compromised position and then pretty much docs what is it, docs, right? Docs
Docs.
him?
Docs.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he pretty much does that. He goes and he has a child who isn't with their parent. He convinces some housekeeper person that they have to do this, and it kind of came off like, I don't know, he said INS, which I assume is like back then was their version of ICE or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
I assume
thinking
so.
too.
That's what I'm thinking.
So he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll tell INS," and she somehow happens to be, I guess, an
Yeah, we
undocumented
just assume
person.
she is
Yeah.
undocumented. Okay.
And she lets this happen. Like that whole storyline to me was kind of contrived and dumb. That was like a fault of the movie that I felt. And they tried to clean it up at the end with the wife punching him in the face, and he's like, "You got that?" Like it just, I didn't like any of that. Honestly,
Yeah.
I did want to see the relationship between John and Holly, is I believe her name, to be exposed. But that being the device in which it was, to me, was one of the weaker parts of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the whole news reporter thing could have just been taken out, and the movie would have been perfectly fine. There was even a moment where, he turns around, like, Hans turns around after talking to Holly, and he's like looking and see what she was looking at. So that could have been a moment where he picks up the frame and sees that it's John, and her are married, and that could
E
have been the reveal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But they added this weird element in, and then there's also that time we spend at the news station with him, and he has some issue with some guy on air, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna steal the truck," and it's like, who is this character that's
Yeah.
suddenly
I
thrust into
thought
this
I
movie?
actually for some reason when that happened, I was like, dude, does John or his wife know who this guy is? Is this one of their friends? Like, who is this? And then I was like, oh, this is just some guy.
yeah,
Exactly. He ends up being some guy who does something stupid that leads to an inevitable plot point, like a
Yeah.
point in the movie that would have happened regardless of his intervention. So it was just kind of like, I guess we wanted to expand the world of LA during this time and include the news and include like, the police and all that. But like I just thought that was the one part of the movie where I maybe would have felt uh bogged down the movie in a way. Like I didn't hate it, like it didn't take me out of the movie, but like, upon like reflection, it just kind of didn't work.
It was
It's
done
kind of like,
yeah.
awkwardly, pretty much. They just kind of
what is that?
I said it was done awkwardly. It's kind of like the writers were just like, we need some way to make John's job harder and let's just do something.
Yeah, harder than it
Which
already is.
which
But
in
the
a way,
FBI had already presented that challenge for him. And I thought that all worked too, like the terrorists being one step ahead, them expecting the FBI to react in the way that they did, like
yeah,
all that was working for me. It's just that part that I was just
it
like,
was so comical. They were so bad and then they just blew up in the helicopter.
Yeah,
I didn't even
Uh,
oh yeah, that means both Johnsons died.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
didn't
even
even
expect them to blow up in the helicopter.
That was also a thing. The consequence at the end of the movie doesn't necessarily work either. You can't just drive away in a limo. You were like in a terrorist situation with multiple hostages. There were several casualties in this situation. Even if you quote saved the day, you don't just get to leave. Like
yeah.
you don't get to just drive off in your limo, like especially because people are going to want to talk to that limo driver who was in the
Also
building
there, yeah,
all those hours, didn't do anything, and just kind of crashes out. The
Yeah,
fact that no one
it's kind
drew
of
their
sus.
gun as he crashed out of the building to me was a big like, what? Like
Carl
no
kind of
one
did,
stopped.
but only
yeah.
for a
Yeah,
second.
but
But there's just one cop.
Yeah.
Like,
everyone else just walked around, like walked
Yeah,
away.
Yeah,
It's like,
his
look at
entrance was
limo
so
driver
sus.
guy.
He literally slammed down a fence as he came in. He was very sus.
Exactly. Everyone was just like, oh,
yeah.
Argyle being himself.
Everybody would have their guns up. Yeah.
Exactly.
But there's also, like, to be fair, the detective did want to talk to John. It was like he did say, "Oh, you can't go anywhere," or something like that. But when he's leaving, but then once the other like German guy came back
Who
to life,
miraculously
yeah,
survived.
yeah, he came back to life, and then Carl shot him. Then that was it. Like the whole conversation was just done, and then he was able to go home. So it's like they kind of just threw away that whole scene. The whole interaction was just gone.
It to me it reads as we kind of got to wrap this up.
Yeah,
That's how it read to me. Like we got to wrap it up. Obviously, it's a movie. We're not going to spend the rest of the film with the bureaucracy of like witness statements and like, all of that. Like they're just like let's just get the good guy riding off into the sunset cuz that's essentially what it was. Like it was the everything's done, let's ride away. Like I can compare it to uh Django, completely different movie, but at the end, they have their horses, then the horses do that little dance, and then they kind of ride off, and it's like, well, you blew up a house. You guys are still in the South. Like
yeah,
two black people on some horses. Like, where
yeah,
where you going from here?
yeah.
Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, I was sure
get
you
up.
won't go unnoticed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm like, people are gonna be on the way. This wasn't just any house either. This was like a big mansion. Like, it seemed
uh,
like there were a lot of people there that would have probably told other people that they were going. They didn't just by secret show up here. Like this is it seems like the stakes in which the that were accomplished or the triumph there would have resulted in larger consequence for those characters just like in this movie.
yeah,
But you accept it because of the ordeal and the trial that they experienced throughout. You're like, "All right, let's
yeah.
let them have it."
And to be honest, after 2 hours of the movie, you're kind of just like, okay, we can end it here.
I
We,
was
we don't have to know
I couldn't
everything
believe the
else.
movie was 2 hours. I thought I thought the whole thing would be resolved in like an hour and a half, but it is kind of
Really?
slow. Also, do you buy the fact that the limo driver would have beat that terrorist up in that
I
moment?
No, I doubt he would have even been unarmed. It
Yeah,
was cool though.
Yeah,
This is more like a personal thing for me. I was happy to see there were so many black people in this movie. Very, very happy with that. I know it's a very small note, but for a 1980s action movie, for a large portion of the cast to be black,
yeah.
that was to
One of
me
the
a
better
big
villains was
surprise.
black.
Yeah, like the hacker guy or whatever.
yeah.
He was black. Carl was black. The limo driver was black. I was just
One
and
of the
Johnson
Johnsons.
was
Yeah,
black. I was just like, wow,
yeah,
okay. I was like, look at this representation in 1988 for a random action movie, and it wasn't like any sort of like political statement in it. There wasn't any sort of like, um, it's hard for me being a black guy on the force to do this. It wasn't like any of that. No one was talking to him like calling him boy. There was none of that. It was just they all
yeah.
happened
True.
to be black, and that was it. And I was just like, great, good
Yeah,
job, movie.
that's true. Yeah, they all seem pretty equal. Like even Hans talking to the hacker guy, who's like he didn't treat him poorly or anything. He was just
No,
like,
and he wasn't even like European. He wasn't even vaguely European.
yeah, that's true.
It's just you're just there. It was just like,
Yeah,
oh, all right, well,
I was part of the crew. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that scene when the limo driver crashes into the ambulance. Actually, fun fact: when they did the opening scene, when they're all walking out of the truck, there wasn't an ambulance in there. But then later, there was an ambulance coming out of the truck. So they realized they messed up when they filmed the movie, but it was too late to go back and fix it.
I never looked inside. It was some. I wouldn't have noticed it. I did find myself asking, "Oh, there was an ambulance in there." Not because I didn't notice it, but because I'm like, so there was an ambulance inside this truck and all those people. I'm like, they really came prepared. Like that was kind of my only thought to that.
I was actually
Yeah,
wondering how much filming did they even do inside that building. Half the time, I actually couldn't tell. Like John is like traversing these floors so fast. I don't know what floor he's on at any point in this movie.
No, I just gave up that entirely. I was just
Uh,
I just figured the majority of the movie took place is on floor 30 and floor 32 because those were what they established and the roof. So I was just like, well, let's just say he's going between these somehow and getting
yeah,
the
pretty
job
much.
done.
He's bouncing back between all these floors, and he's not even using the elevator for most of it.
yeah,
He's literally
exactly.
using like the shafts, the air shafts to move
That's what I was
around.
thinking was crazy. I don't know how he was traversing all this shit in his condition, barefoot, bloody foot.
That was the part of the movie where I came to accept movie logic. Like sometimes when you're watching a movie, you just kind of have to accept movie logic. The only time I really have a big fault is when the movie logic contradicts itself. And in this situation, I was just like, let's just say he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like that's kind of how I went about it because I didn't know how he would have known to like figure out how to get through into the elevator shaft. Like to me, that doesn't seem like normal person knowledge. How he knows how to set up C4s, like I don't
Oh
know
yeah, I saw
anything
that and
about
I was
that.
like, what is he even doing to that C4? What is he jamming in it? Like, what are you
I
doing?
just,
Yeah, I
I
actually
have
I
no
made a note during the movie because he puts the little like I guess plugs to ignite the C4 in there, but he puts a computer on top of it.
Yeah,
Like
he
how
slammed
would
it down with whatever it was.
yeah like and he tossed it down the elevator shaft. So it's like how do you know that was gonna work?
Yeah, and how is it
Like
gonna? How is it detonating? What's detonating it?
that too.
yeah,
I that's what I'm saying, I
The
don't know
bad guys are.
anything about C4s, and that was also one of the moments where I was just like, okay, just movie logic it out. He just knows what he's doing.
It's
Like
funny.
that's
The bad guys are spending eternity looking for these detonators, and he just can do it without detonating it.
it's like all you need to do is just plug some stuff into it, dude. Just stab it and then put a computer on top, and then bing boom, here you go, big bomb.
Yeah, for a cop, this
Somehow.
guy's like abnormally advanced. Like he's built. He's clearly built different in this movie compared to the L.A. cops because they're not doing anything.
Do you guys
uh,
know why it's called Die Hard or anything? I don't know. I'm strictly just asking.
oh, I have no idea. I'm sure we can look it up and figure it out. But I
Just I figured it was gonna play in somehow. I was waiting for a moment where someone would say it. He's like, "You're gonna die hard" or something like that. I was just,
that's
Well, that
you
would
know, there's a
sound
part of me that
terrible.
was expecting that, but
it's not that 80s cheesy movie.
Yeah, Yippee Ki Yay is the
this is
iconic
what I
line.
went. Yeah, the Yippee Ki thing was kind of what signaled to me, oh, that must be a moment in this movie, right? Like the Die
Yeah,
Hard moment.
Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean like like Yippee Ki is just like the signature like saying right.
Yeah, without having watched this movie, I knew he was gonna say it at one point. I didn't know when, but I liked the moment he did.
Yeah, it works. I wonder if that was like ad lib or anything, or if it was actually in the script for him to say.
Probably
I would say
not.
it was in the script only because Han says it at the
Yeah,
end.
that's what I was gonna say. He said
Oh
it
yeah.
too, and then they had a big laugh fest at the end.
That was weird.
Oh yeah,
So
the
weird.
laugh fest was yeah, a little awkward. That was like a villain moment of a bad movie.
I was just like, all right. Well, I didn't know what was gonna happen. There was a moment prior to his conclusion with Hans where he looks at some tape and then, it's signaling he's gonna do something with it. I didn't expect it was gonna be that, like him taping it to his back with the two bullets. Like that was a great payoff. Like
Yeah,
wonderful payoff for me. I liked it.
As this guy's so smart, it's actually
yeah.
insane.
So
Uh,
innovative.
Incredibly innovative. I wouldn't have never thought of something like that. I didn't know what his plan was. I was just like, the only way that he gets out of this situation is some like Deus ex machina, like, Carl somehow sees them from the window and shoots. I was expecting something like that. In no way did I expect him to have it glued to his back and then, the pop
Carl's
out.
scared because he shot a kid with a ray gun.
Oh
Yeah,
damn.
that was actually kind of weird. I was
I
just
don't
like,
know about that story.
weird.
It was kind of weird, yeah.
I thought it was an interesting way of including a like police misconduct storyline into the movie.
Yeah.
Because this movie could be could be seen as like very pro cop, even in an era like in the 1980s where there wasn't this discourse that we have now. Even watching it then, I can see this movie being seen as like, yeah, this is cops get it done, the movie. Um,
Yeah.
I was
and
that
I was, I guess, appreciative of them kind of hinting at some sort of greater, not flaw per se of the system, but like the fact that shit like that does happen. It was interesting
Yeah.
for them to include
It,
it, and especially in such a minor
I
way.
would say it definitely did give cops more of like they're actual people and they do experience like hardships on the job. So it's like he has to deal with shooting a kid like for his entire life now, and it makes him like a worse cop because he can't pull his gun out or he gets nervous in situations
He
again.
can't get it up.
Yeah,
He has
pretty much.
I was
erectile
I was
dysfunction
Yeah.
or
like
something.
I was thinking like how do you even have a job right now? I figured he wouldn't have one after that.
What do you mean? They had him on administrative leave for about a week, and they're like, "All right, bro, here you go."
That's
And
it.
then Yeah,
back to it.
right back to it.
Yeah.
They never even told us what happened to that kid. I don't think.
In my headcanon, I'll say the kid lived. Just
Yeah.
so I feel a little better.
In my head, damn, in my head canon, I was saying he died.
Oh, dude.
No, I
Yeah.
think he would live. I think if he died, there's no way he would still have a job.
Hey, bro, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's true.
But not to make it overly political, but yeah.
Yeah. I know we're pushing some pretty far in time now, but I
We're
know
about
you
half
wanted
hour in.
half hour. All right. I know you wanted to talk about Ellis Drawn. So if you want to talk about him.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it
So-
up there.
We're introduced to Ellis snorting or sniffing coke, which immediately was a sign. I'm like, okay, so
Yeah.
this guy is gonna be some sort of trouble.
Yeah,
I
not at
thought-
his desk. But I have to say, like, he was sniffing coke at his desk too. It was at Holly's desk,
Yeah,
which is so weird.
So, which was even more weird to me that he was just kind of nondescript about it at all. He could have just been in the bathroom or like maybe not put it onto the table. Like I don't know, he
Yeah.
could have just been secretive, but he wasn't. And I figured that his character, his like the seediness of his character would have played into the fact that maybe he was sleeping with Holly. He was in her office, he was going, oh, show her the gift and stuff, or show him the gift. And like there was a part of me that was expecting his douchiness that was obvious from his introduction to be played into a romantic love triangle sort of situation. In no way did I think he was gonna be a fucking sellout rat, bro. Like I was like, what? I was like, come on. I was like, what? Why did you think this was the plan? Like this was the move? Like
Yeah,
what?
it's like nobody likes sales people, right? So you're gonna go in and do like a sales pitch on terrorist. Of course we
Yeah.
kill you.
And like,
I was just so confused. I was just like, okay, so what's his plan? Like his angle. I was just thinking, what's his angle here? Like, is it to give away that Holly knows this guy and then kind of give away Holly in exchange for everyone else to go?
he didn't even do
Because now
that.
if you get Holly, you definitely get McLean. And I was just like, that has to be it. Like, that's what he does. But no, it was him strictly being a salesman, giving the stupidest pitch possible, and gambling with his life.
All he did
It wasn't
was
even like he was like, oh, like, hey, John, like, hey, just please do this, man. Like, all of us we're just counting on you, and this is getting scary. It was, do it for me, or they'll kill me. I'm like giving him thumbs up, and it's like, why are you gambling yourself, dude?
Only-
Like, what are you
the only
doing?
information he gave the terrorist was his name. That's all he even knows, really. That's
Yeah. So I was like, you didn't succeed in any of that. And it was even more funny too, because like we are introduced to him like, sniffing coke, and the last thing he has is coke, but it's a Coca-Cola. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, is this movie doing that? I was like, I wonder if they're in on it, that they did this like cool little full circle. Like here he is sipping some coke and then he gets whacked. Or if
What
it was
sucks
like
is he died
little-
to a warm can of Coke.
Yeah.
They brought him a
man.
warm
That's
can
gross.
of Coke.
No ice in that drink.
You could also hear it being poured over the radio too.
It's weird though that was even a thing that happened. Like, okay, let's say this is like a real life scenario. Why would the terrorists feel that they need to butter this guy up by getting him a soda? Did he ask for this soda? Was he like, oh, like I'll tell you everything you need. I'll talk to him. I just need a Coke. Like I
Yeah.
just needed, or maybe he said he needed some Coke and they didn't know he meant. And they were like, "All right, buddy," and they got him the Coke, and he can't complain. They got
Nah,
done.
Yeah, let's shoot him. Yeah. Which
like,
they did
"Alright,
anyway.
Fine, I'll take the Coke.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of his character whatsoever. He just came off as like, an asshole, which I'm pretty sure everybody would just see him as. So like even his death, like it wasn't like surprising or even like very impactful. So-
I gotta just laugh.
Yeah.
And like not to be like just cynical, but I was just like, what did you expect, bro? Like,
Yeah.
come on. And especially because like the dudes on the ground are like, oh man, we lost them, and like they're making such a big deal out of it and stuff. I was like, bro, he kind of just did it to himself, and especially because Carl had the exact same reaction. He's like, he tried. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, what do you expect? The dude, like, he tried his best and he
Yeah.
did to himself.
Yeah, John was
But
literally saying, "He's not my friend. I don't know this guy. Who is this guy?"
I especially like because Ellis is like he's full of like these winks and thumbs up, like while talking to like McLean and doing it to the terrorists. Like, yeah, we got him. Like,
After he said he doesn't
no,
know him, he was
bro.
probably shitting himself.
Uh,
And I saw
that's
the look. You saw the look on his face when he made that last sip of coke, and then he got blasted.
oh, he tried,
Yeah.
but he was one element in the movie where I was just like, this was definitely like comic relief. It couldn't have been like an actual like red herring or anything. Like after he didn't give him away, I was just like, okay, so this is strictly just for like laughs. The fact that this guy is so like gullible and like sleazy and just a mess. What a character. Shout out Ellis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just another person making his job slightly harder, but it doesn't really matter.
To be honest,
Almost every character that made his job harder got killed. He got killed. Both FBI agents died.
Oh,
mean,
not
there's-
the
Just the news
Carl
reporter's fine.
stopped the one guy from getting killed. The news reporter, he didn't get killed, but his ego got killed for sure. And I'm
yeah.
sure he would have lost his job. I don't think you can. I don't think that was professional in any way, and I doubt he got a sign off from the producers to go to this person's house and interview their child.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
also like regulations for that sort of thing. Like for one, you'd have to get the parents' approval. You might also need like a press release. I think that's a thing. Almost certain that's a thing, but hey,
Yeah.
once again, I guess
yeah.
threatening them by calling immigration was
I'm
enough.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Because they're minors, they definitely needed like their parents. To sign. At least their parent present.
Yeah, but hey,
Yeah.
that's what
Uh,
this was. I did
Alright.
want to bring up one thing though. It's a discussion that was going on in our personal friend group for those listening as to whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, everybody
Oh,
still
yeah.
talks about this.
Yeah. Super controversial, but I say it's a Christmas movie. 100%.
I also say it.
I say it is without trying to be. I mean, it is.
It is like
It is, yeah.
not even just that it takes place on Christmas. It literally references Christmas like every chance it gets. Like either by someone humming a
That is
Christmas
true, yeah.
song, someone saying Merry Christmas, the decor all being a bunch of Christmas stuff. Like
Yeah, it does.
every
Actually, it
aspect
does
of this
try to be.
movie was Christmas related.
It's just
Yeah.
not the happy kids movie type of Christmas movie.
Yeah,
But
it's-
I bet if you pull up the trailers, it probably says like this holiday, shit like
He
that.
probably has
Yeah.
fucking jingle bells playing like
Yeah.
over the trailer.
Probably. I actually did pull up an article of like why Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I'm just gonna read off some of the points. Okay, so one, it's set on Christmas Eve, which
Oh wow.
it's it has Christmas music playing throughout the movie. It makes Christmas references, like Ron said. One of the screenwriters said it is a Christmas movie, so that's there, and it's all about family. And Hans Gruber is a perfect Christmas villain. He's like the Grinch or Scrooge.
Yeah. He is like the Grinch.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like even a controversial point. We had only one person in our group who was saying it wasn't. That's our friend Joe. Shout out Joe. You're wrong, Joe.
Yeah.
We're calling you out.
Oh, Joe
on
said it's not a Christmas movie.
our platform.
No,
What's
he was saying no, it's not a Christmas movie.
He said no.
But
He
yeah,
watches Disney movies.
The standard has been set for it. What do you guys think of the terrorist plot to steal the money? Was that enough for you guys?
One thing I don't get is how did nobody understand that that's all they wanted? Why could
Yeah,
nobody
money.
figure that out? They just wanted money.
yeah,
They were giving them like the roundabout like about it, where they were like free these people and that people, only to get them distracted. But it was weird. I thought it was a little shallow, actually. A shallow motivation and a weird reveal that it actually was just money. I thought like they were gonna open the vault and then there would have been like I don't know what, but some sort of code that unlocked the nukes or something. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't think it was strictly money, and I don't know what money that was. If you
I-
guys
It
are
was-
looking at stuff,
yeah.
what is that?
It's certificates like treasury notes for
Oh
like
yeah, it was
yeah
bonds and stuff. Yeah.
yeah bond stuff. So like you can use that to buy like bonds, which like appreciates over time. So they will be paid 20% over time. I think he said it in the movie. So
I
it's
didn't
like you
understand any of
yeah,
that.
it's not like he's being just getting like a lump sum of money. They're getting like money over time, so they're set for life.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah, I was too slow to get any of that. I was just like, "Why?" I
one
was like,
thing
"What is this?"
and
I
like
thought they look like coupons. I was just like, "What is this?" Like coupons to their hotel. I was just like, "Damn, they really want to go stay at this hotel when it's done." Like, they're so lost.
and like they knew that if they cut the power that vault would open, but the other people just nobody knew the how this building worked. That when they cut the power, they would just open the vault. I feel like it was nobody was professional at all and made
Yeah,
everything so easy.
that's a good point. They should have brought somebody that knew the building design to help them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because all the cops were incompetent.
Yeah.
The FBI people.
The minute you would have even suggested that, they would have threatened to fire you, like they threatened to fire Carl, like
Yeah,
midway through, because he was the one guy who was talking to the insider. He's like, "How dare you say stuff to us that's correct and accurate information? We're trying to do this the wrong way." And yep,
yeah. That was
that's
it.
what they succeeded in, and led to them exploding the building even more.
Uh,
Oh, that was also a thing. The chief detective at the end, he's like, "You blew up the building." I was like, "That's destruction of property." That's actually what he said. That was his big critique of John McClane, who murdered 12 terrorists and saved almost all of the hostages. And you were pissed because of destruction of property. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you talking
But-
about?
and it was the pretty much the FBI's fault that the roof got exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest.
The whole ass roof.
What hey?
Yeah.
There obviously there's a lot to nitpick for it, but
Yeah.
ultimately I had a great time with Die Hard, far more than I thought I would have, and it's even a movie that I could see myself rewatching, which doesn't happen often. There are a lot of quote good movies that I've seen that I would never want to watch again, not because it's it wasn't good, but because the my personal entertainment and enjoyment of the movie it doesn't resonate in that way. It's just kind of like I appreciate the artistry in it, but like it's not engaging enough for me to want to sit down for another 2 hours and watch it. This I can see myself rewatching it again with a group. I can see myself rewatching this every holiday season, which I hear a lot of people tend to do. Like this was a very satisfying movie for me. I'm uh very happy that I took the time to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to watch Die Hard like around the Christmas time not every year, but like once in a while during the seasons. Just yeah, because it's one of those movies. But if there's no more talking points, then I guess we can go into scores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess we
uh,
could just do like an overall rating for the movie.
are we doing out of 10?
Let's do out of 10.
Out of 10,
Out of
yeah.
10. Okay. I give this personally I give it 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. The missing 2 points for me, I did feel as if the beginning was a little muddled for me to kind of keep track of it. Didn't know the significance of the plaza, didn't really understand why he was there. I know they write it off as he's seeing his estranged wife, but that none of that seemed clear enough for me. The movie was well paced. It was a little long, but not because of being slow, like being dreadfully slow. It's just more so the added side elements, including what we talked about with the news report guy kind of just being an additional factor that didn't really add much to the movie. But beyond that, pretty sound. 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10. Yeah, I think Die Hard is a pretty solid movie in my book. I think I would go to 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's like definitely like the best action movie I've seen. It definitely has some faults. Um, just like we were talking about with all the side characters. I feel like I wanted more out of the FBI agents or like the cops to do a little bit more. I felt some characters like the reporter was kind of a waste. I feel like you could cut that storyline out, and I felt like the movie was a little bit too long. I think you could definitely cut some of it out and make it just like a little bit shorter movie. I think the movie was paced decently, but I think like if the movie was made now, it would have been a little bit more sped up. I think you can definitely speed the movie up just a little bit more. I'm not sure how much you would miss, but
I
I
think this
think
movie would be awful if you made it now. Actually,
you think it would be really.
I think it'd be an awful movie. I think it would be a very generic movie. It would be either overly violent or it would be like cartoonishly like action where like he's jumping between the buildings. It would be like a Fast and the Furious movie or
Yeah.
like one of the modern day
Well,
movies.
Well, Die Hard
that's
5.
what all the sequels of this movie ended up doing. So
I'm sure.
that's why
Well,
it's yeah.
Die Hard 3 and 4 I actually like, but Die Hard 5, which actually is like one of the modern ones, or at least came out in the past few years, is actually pretty bad. Which is like we were talking about how it's gonna be like that way, where it's just gore and then jumping between buildings. Like a Fast and Furious movie, that's how Die Hard 5 is, which is awful.
Sad boy life.
Yeah.
All right.
We should.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5 as well. Pretty much agree everything with all the we all see the exact same weak points and good parts. The only reason I'm giving it the 0.5 extra is just because the guy actually gets beat up in this movie. It's because he gets shot.
That meant a lot.
He
to
gets
me,
shot.
actually.
He gets hit. They actually made a point in like crippling him with the glass in the movie because they noticed he has no shoes. That was hard to watch. This man was crawling into the bathroom, moaning and shit.
Yeah. I felt that, dude. I felt
Yeah.
it.
Got all that glass on his feet.
Picking the glass out, damn.
But yeah, that's overall 8.5. Good watch every now and then.
Yeah. You know he has to go home and then just like soak his feet in some hot water.
Oh my god, yeah. And then his kids are like, "Dad, let's play!" Ha ha ha. I was like, "Bitch, I gotta rest." All right. Merry
For-
Christmas.
Yeah. For at least two or 3 days, or just rest,
Yeah, exactly.
just not leaving the room.
I was like, "Y'all can have fun. Like, here's some toys. The police are probably gonna be coming here soon to interrogate me."
They'll probably take me away, to be honest.
Probably didn't even make it home. I'm
Yeah.
actually making this call from the jail cell.
Yeah.
They think I'm one of the terrorists. Actually,
Yeah.
they don't know why I came here, so they think I'm part of their plot.
I did blow up that building, you know.
Yeah, I did do that. That is something I am at fault for. So.
Yeah. And then I wasn't on duty, and I did kill 12 people.
I was not authorized to. I was given specific orders to not proceed, and I proceeded regardless. That's the way that the world works. So
He really is the epitome of vigilante because he just kind of just
100%.
did it on his own.
Didn't care about
He
property
did it
damage.
cool, dude. He made all those guys die really hard. So
Hey, that's the name of the movie.
And the next movie, the guy like in Civil War, like the Avengers. You're like the Avengers. You don't care about any property damage. We have to kill you.
yeah, we signed the Die Hard Act.
Yeah.
Where no one's allowed to die hard anymore. And what is it? Die Hard 2 Die Harder. So they're clearly in on it. They know that the name has some sort of significance. They just didn't say it. So.
Yeah, part 4 is what? It's like Live Free or Die Hard.
There's Die Hard 2, Live Free, Die Hard.
Die Hard Vengeance.
A good day to Die Hard, right?
Which one is that? Part 5.
What is
I
this?
don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the 5th one.
Yeah, I think this movie should have stopped here though. So I won't be watching any of the other ones. That's given for me.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share. This is great. I don't want to ruin the taste of my mouth. So I'll stick to Die Hard, the 1988 classic.
That's it. You had enough Die Hard.
More than enough.
All right. Well, I think we're good to wrap it up here.
All right.
Thanks for watching. I hope you come back for more videos. We'll have more in the future. So if you like our content, please like and subscribe to our video. We'll see you next time.